So there's this belief in network marketing that all I have to do is just follow the plan. And I get it. Like there's a plan. And in theory, it seems like it works. And you know what? You can even look to examples of other people in every company that have quote unquote followed the plan and gotten results. But here's what you're not told. What you're not told, or what most people aren't told, and they have to find out the hard way, is that you actually have to have skills to succeed in network marketing because it's marketed and sold typically as, hey, this is simple, but it's not easy. But you just talk to enough people, anyone with a pulse, 3-foot rule. If they can fog a mirror, right, you approach them, and it's just a numbers game. And that's what we're told. The problem with that for some people, and some people, they have the skills to do that. They're extroverts. They love doing that.
Yeah.
For them, it works really well. But for people like you and I, JT, where we have to like really muster up a lot of energy to even connect with a human being and have a conversation with them, and then try to hide the agenda, and it just feels weird and awkward. And so what I learned really fast for me is that yes, I could muscle through it. I could muscle through the find and approach people. And first, you got to pick up the phone. That phone weighs 537 pounds when you're trying to call people that you haven't talked to in years. And clearly, your intention is to try to recruit them, and that's awful. So going through that process of your warm list and talking to everyone that you've haven't talked to since high school, and just having the awkward conversations, and you kind of muscle through that, and it's fine. You get through it and you're like, okay, I'm still alive. But then you got to go into the cold market. And what does that look like offline? It looks like anyone you come into contact with. I remember, and JT, you probably did this too, but I remember going prospecting, like actually leaving the house to go talk to people at a mall or at a coffee shop and just approaching strangers, striking up a conversation that was clearly not genuine and inauthentic, because it's like, you start with the compliment, hey, I like your shoes or whatever,
Yeah.
and then you're like, hey man, so what is it you do, and then, hey, do you keep your options open, and then you just have these weird conversations with people. And you know what, sometimes it works, sometimes they say yes, I'm interested. But once you get past that hurdle of getting the first yes, what do you have to do then? Well, you have to get them to a meeting, right? So then you're inviting them to a meeting, and half the time, more than half the time, they don't even show, right? You got to follow up with them, make sure they're going to show up. And so if you do finally get someone to a meeting, and when I was really working this hard, we actually had an office that was one of the FTC companies that got shut down. But we had this office. So our strategy was we'd get people to an opportunity meeting at an office. So it seemed legitimate, right? It was like, it's a job interview. It's a sales job.
Oh
So
gosh.
these unwitting people, we'd put ads in the paper. All these people were responding to these sales job ads. We get them to this thing, and then we start talking about the products and the opportunity. And there's like all these people looking at each other like, dude, this is network marketing. Why is he drawing circles?
Why are
It
you
was the
drawing
most
circles?
awkward thing.
Yeah.
So you get the person there, then you have to like present the plan. And I was awful, man. When it was my turn to present the plan, it was like I was shaking. My mouth was like dry. I had a lump in my throat. I was just talking. It was so bad. I was stuttering. I was stumbling, fumbling. It was just awful. And so, trying to get people past that hurdle. And then if they stuck around and they weren't like, who are these clowns wearing suits that can't even fumble through a presentation? Then you got to basically overcome any sales objections. So for the people that are still standing, you got to overcome their objections. I got to talk to the wife. Is this a pyramid scheme? Is this blah, blah, blah? So it's so many obstacles. And does everyone join that, even if they say, yeah, that sounds like a great idea? No, you got to follow up. So then you got to follow up with those people. And so you're hitting the phones, following up. And so it's a grind for people like you and I, right?
Yeah.
So doing that, yes. Does the plan work? Sure, it does. But what's the cost of that? Like, I don't know about you and all of you watching this, but I didn't get into this business to be held hostage to a company and have my time freedom completely overwhelmed and taken over by building this dream, grinding away every hour of the day that I wasn't working at my job to try and actually win and have success with this business. That's not what I signed up for. And that whole idea of, leverage, using leverage is awesome. I love leverage. But this is the most unleveraged process in the beginning, one-on-one, anyone and everyone with the pulse, talking to them and approaching them. And it's a numbers game. That's the most unleveraged thing I can even imagine doing. So for those that are like me, that are not salespeople, that don't love, connecting with people and don't have the gift of gab, and it sounds like I might doing this interview, but man, get me one-on-one. And when I'm not talking to my brother from another mother, it's a totally different story. I'm just like clammy. I'm like, oh man, I feel judged. I feel weird. I'm like, I just want to get out of the situation. It's bad, y'all. So for me to be able to do that just wasn't reasonable. And especially if it's like 3 to 5 years of that. So that's when I had this realization. I was like, man, if I am going to do this, there has to be a better way to do it. And so that's when I kind of jumped into the whole world of online marketing and learning skills. And so the biggest lie, I think, probably in this industry is that anyone can do this. And that's not true. Anyone can join, anyone can sign a distributor application, anyone can make a warm list, but you have to have skills to succeed. And you have two choices. Skill set number one is learning to sell. Because look, it's one-on-one is sales. I don't care how they it's not just give them samples, and it's sales. Just say it's sales.
What
Like
is
if
the
you're just
problem with
honest
that?
about
Yeah.
it, it's freaking sales, y'all. So learn sales, or if you hate sales, you don't like approaching people, talking to people one-on-one, learn the skills of marketing. And
Amen.
that's what attraction marketing is.
Hope you enjoyed our conversation with our speaker. I want to just remind you, if you are ready to stop chasing people and start having people chase you, if you're tired of all the spammy, scammy conversations all the time, you are invited to grab our free 5-day digital bootcamp that will teach you how to attract the right kind of people, create the kind of influence so you can start enrolling those 3 to 7 customers each and every single week. And you can get that at the link below, or you can go to attractionmarketing.com/YouTube.